Hi, friends! Thank you so much for joining me for this guided math class. I'm so excited to get to spend this time with you. All right, so our SOL for this math video it says that I will read and interpret data represented in pictographs and bar graphs. So this is one of my favorite SOLs to do because creating graphs is a little bit like an art project and I love art projects. So hopefully you will enjoy this as much as I do. Okay, but before we get started, I really want you to take the time to print the worksheets that I sent to you in this email where this video was. I also attached a worksheet and it's 4 pieces of paper. You could print it on both sides and just make it 2 pieces of paper, but it's really going to be so much more fun for you if you have this printed out because you can follow along with me and create the graphs with me. Okay, so I want you to try to do that if you can. Not everybody has a printer handy and or paper, you never know. Sometimes I don't have paper either. So if you can, I would go ahead and print those out. Okay? All right. So I'll go ahead and let you pause the video if you would like to take some time to print those worksheets and then we'll get started. Okay, so the first thing you need to do when you are making graphs is you have to have data. I mean, that's what a graph is. It's a visual representation of data. So people could collect data and write a paper about it and have a big paragraph that talked about it, and that's okay because it can communicate your information. But when you put that same data in a picture, it helps you see it and it helps you understand the data so much more quickly. So that's why we really like to create graphs when we're talking about data. So the very first thing you have to do is to be able to collect your data. So what I did was I sent an email with a survey link to all of you. So my friends, so I had 23 of you respond. So thank you so much for participating with that. That was super awesome. So now we can create graphs with the data that I collected. There's lots of different ways to collect data. You could walk door to door and ask people questions. You could interview your family. You could call people on the telephone. Lots of different ways to do it. So the 4 questions I asked you was, number 1, which animal would you choose as a pet? Number 2, what is your favorite sport to play? Number 3, which snack do you like the best? Number 4, which color is your favorite? Those were my 4 questions and it was so fun to see what you guys picked. All right, so the first question we're going to take a look at today is which pet would you choose if you could pick one? So I gave you lots of choices: horse, lizard, dog, cat, bunny, bird, goat, and fish. So lots to choose from. And I'm going to show you what the answers were from you all. So look at that. So 6 of you chose a horse. 1 said lizard. 9 of you picked dog. 3 of you picked a cat. 2 would choose a bunny. 1 picked a bird. 1 picked a goat. And nobody picked fish. Poor fishies. I think my daughter would disagree with you because she loves her fish that she has. She has some betta fish that are beautiful. But I think if I had to choose one of these pets, if I had a lot of space, I would pick a horse. But I think I would probably either pick a cat or a bunny. I'm not sure. That's hard to pick, isn't it? Well, I know who picked the goat because my friend Anna Marie also sent me a picture of her goats. Look how cute these little guys are. She even has them in a little harness. Oh, I just thought those were adorable. Thanks so much for sharing, Anna Marie. That was awesome. Okay, so we're going to take this data and we're going to make a visual representation of it in two different ways, a pictograph and a bar graph. Okay, so go ahead. First, before you use the paper that you printed, I want to talk to you for just a moment. I'm going to show you something before you do it on your paper, okay? So let's take a look at this one first. So I jotted down, you can see right here, I jotted down the numbers. You don't normally do that. You don't have to do that. I just did that for convenience so I wouldn't have to keep flipping the slides. But what you want to do for a pictograph is you take a picture and it represents a number. Okay, so here we have a picture of a smiley face. And a smiley face on this pictograph equals one student. So one student chose this pet if you see one smiley face. Now, it is really important to keep a close eye on this key when looking at a pictograph because sometimes it doesn't represent one student. Sometimes it would represent two students or 5 or 10. So you really have to know what that picture represents to be able to interpret the data correctly. Okay, so let me show you what a pictograph would look like if the smiley face represented one student. Whoa, look at that. So you could clearly see that the dog has the most votes. Look at all of those. And one thing I want you to notice about this pictograph is I line them up very carefully because if they're different sizes and smushed together in one row but spread out in another row, then it doesn't represent the data very accurately or helpful. So look how I lined up the smiley faces vertically too. Look at that. So they match. Okay? Because then you could clearly see just by looking at this right here that the cat had more votes than the bunny. All right, so now in second grade and on, you want to make your pictographs a little bit more challenging because usually as you get older, your data numbers are going to be a lot bigger. So if you had data numbers that were like 100 or 50, 59 people chose a dog, it would take forever to make a pictograph with 59 smiley faces. So that's when they change the key so that the smiley face represents maybe 10 students. So then you would only have to have, 5 or 6 smiley faces. So what we're going to do, and you on your paper that you printed out, your smiley face represents 2 students. Okay? So that means that, look at, for example, right here. The lizard only has 1 vote. So you couldn't give a whole smiley face since the whole smiley face represents 2 students. So for some of these, you're going to have to actually make half of a smiley face. Okay? So I'm going to let you go ahead and pause this video and maybe take your paper and try it. See what yours would look like, and then when you press play, I'll show you what mine looks like, and you can compare and see how you did. See if you represented it correctly. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Pause this video, and then press play when you are ready to see what mine looks like. All right, friends, I'm going to switch to the next slide. Here is what it looks like when the smiley face represents 2 students. So it's much more condensed. It's not such a big amount of smiley faces, but you could still see that the dog got more votes. You could still see that the cat got more votes than the bunny, but it's just represented in a more condensed way. All right, so this is what my half smiley faces look like. So one student voted for a goat. So, and I couldn't make a whole smiley face, so I just cut that smiley face in half. 3 people picked a cat, so I could pick one whole smiley face because that equals 2. And then I have to do a half to represent 3. And then the dog was 9, so since this represents 2, remember we can count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8. And then we can only add half of 1 to represent that 9th student. Did yours look like mine? All right, I'm sure we need some practice to get really good at this, but I bet you had a fun time trying. Okay, so now we're going to go over to our bar graph. And let me move this someplace out of the way. Now, if you remember, our largest number was 9. 9 students picked the dog. So when you're making a bar graph, your numbers over here, you don't want it to go 0 to 100 because our biggest number is 9. So you want to make it a little bit smaller so that the bars will be taller, because if it had 100 numbers on the side, your bar would be so tiny you could barely read it. You could barely see it. So that's why I only put 11 numbers over here. Okay, so you have those numbers. And if you didn't jot those down the first time, then you could rewind this video and grab the numbers. Actually, I'll go ahead and go right back to that slide so you can see it and jot those down. So if you need to, press pause and jot these numbers down. Okay, and now we're going to go to the bar graph, and you can see there's 2 axes, one right here, and this lets us know the number of votes. So we better label that. That's an important part. So I'm gonna type number of students who picked this pet. And I'll make it sideways. Okay, so that way you know what those numbers represent. And I'm also going to make a title. We need a title for our graph. So this is favorite pets. Okay, so that helps us know what this is all about. What is this bar graph all about? It's all about favorite pets. Okay, so now we have, you know what we also need? Let's go ahead and put a little label down below here. Pets the students could choose from. Okay, so that's what all these animals are for. Because if you look at it, you might be thinking, why are all those animals down there? What are those numbers? What is this even representing? So that's why you want your labels. So I now know when I look at this bar graph that this is all about favorite pets. And then over here, over here to all the way to the end, the numbers represent the students who pick this pet. And down below, those are all the pets that they had to choose from. Okay, so now we have our graph all set up. And now what we have to do is take a look at our data and color in bars to represent how many votes that each of these pets received. So we know that the horse got 6 votes. So if we go ahead and look all the way up here, you're going to see the number 6. So we want to color a straight bar all the way up to the 6. Okay, so on mine, I'm going to go ahead and fill that in like that. Okay, so you could do that on yours. Go ahead and get a pencil, a color, crayon or marker, and on yours that talked about the favorite pets, you can go ahead and color all the way up to the 6. Now the lizard only had 1 vote, right? Just 1. So we are going to go ahead and I'll pick orange for that one and color 1 of the blocks because we only had 1 vote. Okay? All right, now I'm going to let you pause this video and try to complete the rest all by yourself. Go ahead. How many votes did the dog get? Go ahead and color, and then make sure you go up to the right number to represent the number of votes. Okay, go ahead and pause and try to complete the rest of it and see if yours ends up looking like mine. Okay, so let me show you. I'm going to show you what my graph looks like, and you check yours to see if you have the same size of bars. Whoa, I love this because you can really see the different votes from this visual representation. You can see that nobody picked a fish because there's no color above it. You could see that one person picked a goat, one person picked a bird. You could see that more people picked the cat than the lizard because the bar is taller. You could see which one got the most votes because it has the biggest bar. How cool is that? All right, so we're going to answer some questions because what you really want to be able to do when you look at a graph is interpret it correctly. You want to answer questions about it. So let's take a look at our first question. Number 1, which animal received the most votes? So you could either look at your bar graph or your pictograph and make that decision. Which animal received the most votes? So I'm going to look at our bar graph, and I'm going to look for the bar that's the tallest. And I can see very clearly that the dog's bar is the tallest. So the dog received the most votes. Okay, second question. Which animal received the least votes? Go ahead and take a look. Maybe this time we're going to look at our pictograph. Which of these animals received the least votes? I would have to say the fish. Poor fishy didn't get any votes. 0 is the smallest number there. Okay, what about number 3? Which animals, that tells us that we're going to have more than one answer. Which animals received 1 vote each? Let's take a look. Do you see them? I see 3. I see a lizard got 1 vote. I see a bird got 1 vote. And I see a goat got 1 vote. Nice. Good job, everybody. Okay, and my final question for these graphs, which animal received 1 less vote than the cat? Okay, so we have to know first how many votes did the cat receive, and then which animal received 1 less than that. So let's take a look. The cat received, we know that smiley face represents 2. 2, 3. So the cat received 3 votes. Which animal received 1 less than that, or 2 votes? And I could see here the bunny received 2 votes. All right. Well, good job, boys and girls. That is a really awesome experience at first we collected our data, we created our graphs, and then we interpreted our data by answering really important questions about it. So good job. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to look very quickly at our next question. It says, which sport would you choose? I let you guys pick between football, baseball, soccer, basketball, gymnastics, cheerleading, track, and hockey. Lots of really fun choices. And I'm going to show you the numbers the data that I received. Ooh, do you see what your vote was? Do you remember what you picked? We had 2 votes for football, 3 for baseball, 5 for soccer, 5 for basketball, 3 for gymnastics, 2 for cheerleading, 3 for track, and 0 for hockey. No hockey players, I guess. Or maybe you tried it and you didn't like it and you wouldn't pick it again. All right, so we're going to take that information and we are going to go ahead and make a pictograph. So I want you to pause this video, make your pictograph with those numbers. Okay, I have them all over here to the side, just for our convenience so we don't have to keep flipping back and forth. You don't normally do that in a pictograph, but that's just a little note so you can access that information. And then go ahead and on your paper, make your pictograph, press pause, and then make it, and then press play to see what mine looks like. All right, friends, I'm going to show you what mine looks like. Are you ready? Okay, look at that. So we know that the smiley face equals 2 students. So I have a full smiley face for football because 2 people picked it. Baseball, I needed to make a 3. So I have 1 whole and then 1/2. So this is 2, 3. Soccer is 2, 4, 5. Basketball, 2, 4, 5. Gymnastics, 2, 3. Cheerleading, 2. Track, 2, 3. Hockey, nothing. All right, so now you can go ahead. Let's move to the bar graph and see how you do with that one. So go ahead and fill in your bars based on the data that we received and see what yours looks like. So go ahead and press pause and then I'll show you what mine looks like next. Okay, friends, I'm going to show you my bar graph and I'm going to see if yours looks like mine. Does it look like mine? I just love bar graphs because it really helps you to see the data. You can quickly see who got the most, which sport got the most votes. I just love it. It's so clearly to see and you can just go straight up and straight across over to the number. Now, one thing that I noticed when I made this graph is that there's a lot of empty space at the top. Remember at the beginning where I said you don't want to use numbers that are so much bigger than your data because then it squishes your bars real small? So I really did not need to make a bar graph that went all the way up to 11 when my highest number of votes was 5. It's not wrong, but it's just not the best. So let me show you what it looks like if you change the numbers on the sides. Whoa, now it stretches our bars up taller so you can see them a little bit better. So I made the biggest number as 6. So then it makes your bar graph so much bigger. Let me show you the other one. See how it looks squished? And it just makes it, you're able to interpret it better. So that's really what you want to do. Your graphs, you really want them to be very accurate and the best visual representation of that data. Okay, so now let's answer some questions. We're going to interpret our data, just like the pros. Okay, our first question says, let me move out of the way. Which sport received 2 votes? So let's take a look. Ooh, wait a minute. I read that incorrectly. It says which sports with an S. That means we're going to have more than one answer. Which sports received 2 votes? Okay. So I'm going to look at our bar graph for this one. And here's 2. So I'm going to go straight across and let's find out which 2 sports received 2 votes. Well, here's one already. Football. Nope. 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 Cheerleading. Nope. Nope. Okay. Football and cheerleading. They both received 2 votes each. All right. Number 2 says, which sport received the least votes? So let's take a look. Let's look at our pictograph for this one. Hockey. There's no smiley faces. Hockey's sad. Okay, third question. Which 2 sports both received 5 votes? So we're going to look for 2 sports that both received 5 votes each. So let's look at our bar graph. Go up to the 5. Nope. Nope. Yes. Soccer. Yes. Basketball. And the other ones are way below that. So that's what our answer is, soccer and basketball. All right, and we have one other question. Which sport didn't receive any votes? Well, that's going to be the same answer as number 2. Which sport received the least votes? Which sport didn't receive any votes? It was hockey. It received 0 votes. Okay, very good. Now, for the next 2 questions. The question was, what is your favorite snack? And the last question was, what is your favorite color? I'm going to have you guys do that on your own. I'm going to show you the data. And then I'm going to have you pause the video and make your graphs, but I'm not going to show you what mine looks like. Okay? But you're going to make your graphs as beautiful as you can and as neat as you can. And then you're going to take your graphs to our quiz. After this video is over, you're going to press stop and you're going to open up the Google quiz that I sent you. And I have 4 questions for each of your graphs. So 4 questions about favorite snacks and 4 questions about favorite colors. Okay, so let me show you. The next question says, which snack would you choose if you could pick one? And the options were cookies, ice cream, fruit, cotton candy, chips, and cheese. Okay, so let me show you what the data was. And I want you to write this down off to the side on your pictograph so you can access it when you're trying to create it. So you can write these numbers, but just jot them over to the side here, because this is where you're going to make your pictograph. All right, so 8 people picked cookies, and that is what I would pick too. 6 people picked ice cream, 6 people picked fruit, 1 person said cotton candy, 2 people said chips, and 0 picked cheese. Now, I really like cheese, but if I had to pick between cookies and cheese, I'd pick cookies. But so nobody else picked cheese either. Okay, so now what you're going to do, you have your pictograph that looks just like this one. The smiley face is going to equal 2 students. So go ahead and create your pictograph with that data. And then you're going to create your graph. Okay, go ahead and do that. And you can pause this video if you would like. And the next question was, what is your favorite color? So let me show you what our data was. I just picked the colors of the rainbow. red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, or pink. And this was the data that you chose. 3 said red, 0 said orange, 1 said yellow, 2 picked green, 9 picked blue, 0 picked purple, and 7 picked pink. Okay, so you're going to do the same thing. On your pictograph, go ahead and jot those numbers down on that. Okay, here they are. Maybe pause the video if you need to jot those numbers down onto your pictograph. Just over to the side. Okay, so now remember, when you're making your pictograph, your smiley face is going to equal 2 students, not just the 1. So you might have to make half of a smiley face. Okay, and then the next thing you're going to do is make your bar graph. Okay, so you're going to be doing that. Make these 2 graphs. And then what you're going to do is take all of your graphs that you made over to the Google quiz. And you're going to try to answer these questions by yourself. It's okay if your mom and dad reads the questions to you if you need help with that part. But try to interpret the data by yourself and see if you can read these graphs. Okay? All right, well, thanks so much. I hope you have a lot of fun doing these. I've always loved to make graphs. If you ever want to collect your own data and make your own graphs with the data that you choose, maybe you want to interview your family or something like that, what I would recommend, I don't have a piece right here, but you could either purchase graph paper, or you could even print some graph paper off the internet. They have free printable graph paper that you could print, and then you could have a lot of fun making different graphs. Alrighty, well, I will see you next time. Thank you so much for your attention, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, there's a difference between not knowing how to make graphs right now. We might not know how yet, but we will get stronger and stronger with more practice that we get. All right, so you guys have a wonderful week, and I can't wait. If you want to take pictures of your graph and send them to me in my email, I would love to see them. But definitely go ahead and fill out that survey so I'll know that you watched this video and you did your very best. All right, you guys have a great week. Talk to you later.